Richard Gere could have never become a star. His first real shot at fame ended in scandal, a firing, and 3 years of near-total obscurity. All because of a piece of fried chicken and a man the whole world would later know as Rocky Balboa. The set of The Lords of Flatbush. Two young actors, Richard Gere and Sylvester Stallone. Both ambitious, both hungry, both absolutely convinced they were the real star of this project. Gere landed the lead role of Chico Tyrol. Stallone got the second key character, Stanley Rosiello. From day one, they eyed each other like two fighting dogs separated by a fence. Stallone later recalled that Gere walked around the set in his motorcycle jacket like a man the whole world already owed something to. Not a nobody without a single significant role to his name, but a living legend graciously tolerating the presence of a film crew. During one fight scene, Gere got so caught up in the moment that he started improvising, grabbed Stallone and went completely off script. Sly stopped him and asked him to stick to the scene. Gere acted like he hadn't heard a word. But the real disaster happened at lunch. Stallone got into a car with a hot dog, looking for some peace and quiet to eat. Then the door opens, and Gere drops into the seat next to him. In his hands, half a chicken wrapped in aluminum foil, dripping with grease and mustard. He starts eating right there, the whole thing running down his fingers. Stallone warned him, "If even a drop lands on me, you'll regret it." Gere nodded and kept eating. A second later, a stream of greasy mustard splattered right onto Stallone's pants. Sly elbowed him in the head and shoved him out of the car. After that, Stallone gave the director an ultimatum: either Gere goes, or he does. The producers chose Stallone. Gere was fired. His role went to actor Perry King. Word spread through Hollywood fast: difficult, arrogant, unpredictable. For 3 years, Gere couldn't land a decent role. 3 years is a long time when you're not yet 30 and just starting out. The two men never warmed to each other. A few years ago, Stallone said in an interview, plainly and without drama, "I really don't like him." What happened next could have been called a Hollywood fairy tale, if Gere himself hadn't sabotaged it with such enthusiasm. When director Gary Marshall decided to make Pretty Woman, and offered Gere the lead, he read the script and threw it in the trash. Literally. He later said there was no character in it, just an expensive suit you could put on anyone. A shell for a pretty picture. Marshall called personally. Gere said the same thing. The director didn't give up and asked him to just come to the set, meet the team, no commitment. That's where he saw her for the first time. 21-year-old Julia Roberts. She was standing in the corner, clearly not knowing what to do with her hands. Nervous, lost, visibly awkward next to this imposing man 20 years her senior. For some reason, that got to Gere. Then Marshall called again with the same question. And at that moment, Julia silently held up a piece of paper with 2 words written on it: "Please say yes." Gere laughed and told Marshall, "I think I just said yes." On set, something happened between them that can't be directed: real chemistry. They laughed, they goofed around, they flirted. Julia was clearly taken with him and didn't hide it. She did everything to get his attention, flirted openly, found excuses to be near him. And Gere stayed warm, polite, and completely impenetrable. She talked about it later with obvious embarrassment, said she was open about her interest, and he looked straight through her like she was made of glass. Hurtful and strange all at once. Pretty Woman came out and obliterated the box office. Gere got what every actor dreams of: worldwide recognition and the status of a sex symbol. Other projects followed. Autumn in New York, Chicago, First Night, Dr. T and the Women. In 2008 he starred in Hatchie, A Dog's Tale, and millions of people around the world wept in theaters. In 2024 he moved audiences again in the drama O Canada. An actor capable of being both a polished seducer and a man with a fractured soul. But behind all that shine, something else was happening. After Pretty Woman, Gere gradually disappeared from public view. Fame turned out to be nothing like what he'd expected. He woke up in strangers' apartments. Women, alcohol, parties, all of it was there, and there was plenty of it. And at some point he realized none of it filled him with anything. The emptiness stayed empty, just upholstered in expensive silk. The turning point came during a meeting in Nepal. Tibetan Lama Thubten Zopa Rinpoche said one single thing to him. Not a speech, not a lecture, one sentence: "You're looking in the wrong place." That was it. It was enough to send Richard Gere's life in a completely different direction. In 1993, he turned down every project and went to Tibet. Not as a vacation, to live. 8 months in a monastery, without the usual comforts, with almost no money, no paparazzi, no interviews. He studied the Tibetan language, immersed himself in Buddhist philosophy, meditated for hours. For the first time in years, he had one word for it: peace. No roles, no journalists, just silence and himself. He came back a different man. He founded a fund to help Tibetan refugees. Started choosing roles based on meaning, not money. Said that early in his career he took jobs for the paycheck. Now the paycheck didn't interest him. He wanted truth in the script. He no longer wanted to play lovers. He wanted to play people. Said he was willing to work for free if a project was genuinely worth it. In Hollywood, that sounded like heresy. But Gere was already living by different rules. Running alongside this inner story was the story of his personal life, just as complicated, just as compelling. In 1988, at some glittering social event, he saw Cindy Crawford, a supermodel who was, at that moment, probably the most beautiful woman on the planet. She carried herself simply without any star attitude, smiled at everyone the same way, and that finished Gere completely. They left together that evening. The relationship moved fast, and in 1991 Richard proposed. The wedding matched the whole story, spontaneous, in a tiny chapel in Las Vegas. The rings were made from chewing gum wrappers. The witnesses were 4 random strangers pulled in off the street. The press went wild. They were called the most beautiful couple of the century. Only beauty isn't a foundation. When the first intoxication faded, they discovered with some surprise that they had almost nothing in common. Her world was photo shoots, runway shows, and fitness videos. His was filming in different countries, Buddhism, monasteries. They saw each other less and less. Then he left for Tibet for 8 months, leaving her alone. 4 years after that Las Vegas chapel, they divorced. Cindy later said on the Oprah Winfrey Show that she didn't understand what had connected them in the first place. That after the divorce they didn't even stay friends. That they have nothing in common, not even enough for friendship. The second time, Gere found his person on a film set. Actress Carrie Lowell. Again younger, this time by 12 years. They fell for each other quickly and moved in together. In 2000, a son was born, Homer. Richard was 51. He became a father for the first time. When Homer turned 2, his parents made it official. The wedding was November 9, 2002. Carrie had a daughter from a previous relationship, Hannah. Gere took her in, built a real relationship with her, became a proper stepfather. People close to him said that in this marriage Richard finally started to open up. From a closed-off, guarded man, he gradually became something more alive. Learned to find joy in small things. Found balance. Or so it seemed. But Buddhism carved another crack. Gere meditated every day, and during that time, nothing else existed for him. Not his wife, not the children, not the household. It wore Carrie down. And then in 2013, it came out that Richard had been having an affair with an Indian television presenter for 8 months. Carrie filed for divorce immediately. The proceedings dragged on for 3 years and destroyed whatever warmth had remained between them. They officially split in 2016. Again, from deeply in love to complete strangers. Their son Homer is 26 now. By all accounts he grew up strikingly handsome. Fans of his father on social media call him a young Apollo. He graduated from Brown University with a degree in cognitive neuroscience. But film pulls at him. He wants to be a screenwriter and director. Time will tell whether he inherited not just his father's looks, but his stubbornness too. In 2014, Gere went to a football match. There he met Alejandra Silva, a Spanish entrepreneur and publicist, daughter of the vice president of Real Madrid. She was around 30. He was past 60. The age gap, 34 years. Richard was in the middle of a brutal divorce and living in a state of chronic stress. And then, next to this woman, he felt something he had long forgotten how to feel: calm. But it wasn't just that. Alejandra was drawn to Buddhism herself. For the first time in his life, Gere had met a woman who understood that part of him, not tolerated it, not made peace with it, but genuinely understood it. That was something categorically different. At the end of 2017, he proposed. In April 2018, they had a secret ceremony in Spain, just a small circle of people. A month later, they held a full celebration in New York. Soon after, Alejandra told him she was pregnant. In February 2019, a son was born, Alexander. Richard was 69. He also adopted Alejandra's son from her first marriage, Albert. Then in August 2019, Alejandra was pregnant again. On April 22, 2020, another son arrived, James. The press couldn't help itself, a 70-year-old Hollywood icon with 3 small children. Gere took it with humor. Said that next to Alejandra he had learned to love not only Buddha, and that he wanted to surround himself with people he could love too. Richard Gere is 76 today. He's still working. Still doing charity work. He advocates for Tibetan rights, helps European refugees, fights for the environment, never walks past someone left out in the cold, people or animals. In 2022 he bought an estate in Connecticut for $10.8 million, a historic building from 1938, 11 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms, panoramic windows, terraces, a pool, a guest cottage. A place for a large family. 3 wives. 3 sons. One man who somehow managed to be both a Hollywood icon and a Buddhist monk at heart. Who lost his first chance because of a piece of chicken, turned down the role that made him a star, found himself in a Tibetan monastery, and ultimately found what he'd been looking for his whole life. Not in fame, not in money, but beside a woman who simply understands him.